ultimately, guys, this is for people who want to make a bigger impact and a bigger income. This is for people who want to help more people and make more money, right? That's what this message is for, right? So make no mistake about it. The Remarkable Practice Immersion message is how to serve more people, how to see more people. The Remarkable Business Immersion is about how to make more money. So unapologetically, guys, no money, no mission.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast, Chiropractic's #1 business podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Man, we are in the business of saving lives, Dr. Pete. And when business is good, everybody wins. Today, we are going to get down to business. We're going to have this business conversation. We're going to have it through the lens, through the frame of the remarkable practice versus the remarkable business. We're going to have a data-driven conversation today. And you know what? In my experience, coaching thousands of chiropractors, where the rubber really hits the road, where they really get clarity, is when you start assigning key performance indicators, KPIs. Like when you're trying to help somebody understand something, especially if they're going to be taking accountability for something, you start talking about the KPIs and everything gets really clear really fast. So I think this is going to be a kickoff for us. We're going to kick off a study. We're going to do a 5-episode series comparing and contrasting the 5 domains of the practice versus the 5 domains of the business through the lens of key performance indicators and the difference between the practice indicators and the business indicators.
Doc, this is something that you and I have been discussing quite a bit this week. This week is, we have an immersion coming up in the month of March. And so depending on when you listen to this, it's the first. I had a conversation with somebody today who has not been, inside of the organization. And he was saying that, I really like what you guys are doing. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I like the way the new immersion, approach and all that, because he's been around for a while. I was like, what do you like about it? He's like, no, I just like the way you could position it, the way you're organizing it, the way it's being communicated. It's great. It's really on point. So the fact that we've listened to a lot of the feedback that we've received from all of you in terms of how we're organizing our immersion events this year and moving forward, and how we're bringing in and back some new events, or bringing some events back and created some new events. It's going to be a remarkable year in 2026. So if you're curious what's going on in 2026 in Remarkable, check out remarkablepractice.com. Go to our events page. We got some great events going on around the world, and I'm super pumped for them. I'm really pumped for this upcoming immersion that's going to be in March 5, 6, and 7 in Phoenix, Arizona. It's the Remarkable Business Immersion. It's the first ever. Guys, if you're one of those people that's like, yeah, I was there when they first did that event, you're one of those people who likes to tell stories like that, you want to make sure you're in Phoenix in March, because it's going to be one of those 10 years from now, like, were you there when they did it for the first time, though, back in 2026 in March in Phoenix? Were you there? It's like, you want to be one of those people that's like, hell yeah, I was there, man. I sat in the first row. I remember who sat behind me. I remember, when we went out to dinner, what we talked about. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. So, hey, get registered for the event. For all of you who are coaching with us, you guys know that the events are included. So we're already expecting you to be there, but you need to register so that we know you're going to be there.
And bring your team.
And bring your team. And then for those of you who are not coaching with us, hey, you're still welcome to attend. You can come, and we'd love to have you. So go to the website. You can register there, and we'd love for you to be there, Dr. Stephen. This is going to be the beginning of a 5-part series. Like you said, we're going to be unpacking each domain. And when you come to the event, we're going to be going through it all with your team. And so we're going to be raising the level of consciousness. Doc, this is what I've been saying to everybody on our masterminds and calls this week, is that we've been keeping the business conversation a little bit too close to the chest just for the owners. No more, my friends. The cat's coming out of the bag. Like, it's time to raise the level of consciousness of business acumen for your teams. The way chiropractic advances further to the next generation, the next iteration, is that we as a collective group of people understand the business of chiropractic, not just one person on the team or no people on the team.
That's right.
This is it, Dr. Stephen. And I'm excited for this series. I'm pumped for our events that are going to be happening in Brisbane in the end of March, and in Phoenix at the beginning of March, and in New Zealand after the Brisbane event. it's going to be an incredible kickoff to 2026. We'd love for you guys to join us, and thanks for joining us today on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm so psyched. I'm going to be going over to Australia. I'll be in Brisbane personally teaching this for the first time with Dr. Malcolm and Kate Rudd and Dr. Bobby and Dr. Jelly and Dr. Adam and Dr. Andrew, and we've got Dr. Oz. I mean, we got just such an awesome crew over there. I'm excited to be with all of our people in Australia. It's been a minute since I've been over to Australia. I'm going over twice this year. So that's March 19, 20, and 21. They now start on Thursday night. We go all day Friday and Saturday. So this is an awesome event. Our immersions are fantastic. This is a $1,500 ticket. And I'm feeling generous today, Dr. Pete. Why don't we give away a golden ticket for each of those events? So we'll do one for global, one for the US event in Phoenix. We'll do one for the Australian event in Brisbane. All you got to do is go to the Remarkable Practice Instagram page and DM us the capital word. Just say podcast business immersion, right? So write those 3 words, podcast business immersion. And whoever's the first person to do that, they're going to get a golden ticket, $1,500 value. So make sure you don't miss out on that. If you do end up missing out on the freebie, jump into the events page and register there. So Dr. Pete, we've got a ton to get into here. But before we do that, you and I are coming off of a very heavy week, right? So, and this is, I will tell you right now, this is the heaviest week of my professional life. And, I hate to say it this way because I don't want to cast, a negative energy over this podcast recording we're going to do today, but it would be disingenuous if we didn't share, the horrible news that we got this week in the Remarkable Practice. We had the tragic loss of our COO, Sheila Mykarek, who was one of the leaders in our organization. She was the number 3 employee of the Remarkable Practice. She helped build this company from the ground up, from zero. And for me personally, I've said it so many times this week, and every time I've said it, I break down every time I say it because it's the truest thing, is I feel like I've lost 2 people, right? So she was like a sister to me. So I feel like I lost a sibling and I lost my COO, my right hand. So Sheila was a very special person. She was so incredibly intelligent. She had an engineer's mind. She was so committed to chiropractic, to our mission, to our business, to our team, to our clients, to our people. And my gosh, man, she was loved and she'll be missed.
Yeah, Doc, it's been, we talk about the best of times, the worst of times. It's been one of those because it's been really heavy and hard for all of us. And I feel similar to you in terms of just the person is what hurts the most. Obviously there's the role, but then there's the person. And I'm flooded with all my memories that, of Sheila and the joy and the laughter and the experiences that we got to have together. And that's what's hard, is that I'm just going to miss her as my friend and a person. She also happened to have a major role in the work that we do. And when I say the best of times, it's been incredible the way that our tribe and our community has really come together to see the character of our team, to see the love that's been poured out by so many of our clients and people that know us. I hate that these things happen, and that when these things happen, we go through this, and that it's usually because of hard things that the response that we get happens as well. And that to me is a big takeaway. It's like, man, we have to cultivate and care about and pour into the relationships of the people in our life and not take for granted
100%.
the days that we have. I remember, I was caught early in my life to teach us to count the number of our days. I love, one of my favorite songs is teach us to count our days and teach us to make our days count. And that's what it's about. It's like, man, I gotta know that every day matters and your lives matter. So I just want to say to all of you who are listening right now, like, thank you for being a part of what we're doing. Thank you for the work that you're doing. The struggles of life are real. Stress is real. Business ownership is hard. Nobody should sugarcoat it. There's no reason to hide. There's no value in going alone. If you're struggling, if you're feeling it, if you have anything going on, please reach out to us, DM us. I don't care if you go to the event, just DM us. Let's have a chat. Throw an arm around a brother or a sister. Like, you are not alone. And we want you to know that you are supported, and anything that you need, if there's anything we could do to help you, as a colleague of ours, knowing the battle that you're in, knowing the swimming against the current that it is to run a business, to be an entrepreneur, to be a chiropractor, and if you add family and marriage and all the other things on top of that, it's like, we understand it's a lot. And so my just request is, if you need anything, please reach out to Dr. Steven, myself. Instagram, probably that's the simplest way. But if you have our email, you have my cell phone, whatever it takes, man, just reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Steven, it's in these moments too that I think I'm reminded of the things that are the most important things. And that's our relationships that we have with one another. And that's looking out for each other. And that's taking care of each other. And, we got to look out for each other and take care of each other as chiropractors and in this very small, like, family of people on earth, chiropractic. And man, let's continue to support each other. And what I loved you said about Sheila was, she was an engineer and she left her profession of engineering world because she heard the principle and she's like, I got to be a part of this. I want to be a part of moving the needle. I want to help you guys restore health. I want to do this. This is too good. Like, this needs me and my genius. And what I loved about her was that she took her God-given genius and brought it to the table and says, I'm not a chiropractor. I didn't grow up doing this, but she caught it. She started to get the big idea, and then she became a believer. Then she became an understander. And I'll tell you, it was so much of what we have going on right now, Doc, including this podcast. She had her fingers on it, her fingerprints 100%. All over it. And She knew you guys. She knew you guys. She knows us. She knows who our clients are. She knows who's listening. She cared about it. She cared about everything that we were doing. And so, Dr. Steven, I have been reignited the fire. I'm on fire anyway. You don't have to poke me much. But man, I'm just like recommitted, rededicated to our mission, our vision, our premise, our purpose, and our product, and to doing it in a more remarkable way. And I'll tell you what, man, you start to poke guys like me and watch it. You better watch out. And by the way, we're not doing this with our own might and power, because we are led by the Spirit of God. And when we are moving in power, because He is moving in power, watch out. So man, I'm just grateful for her life, and her legacy will live on. And we're going to carry it on even now in this moment today.
Well said, Dr. Pete. I had some of the most powerful coaching I've ever done this week. And, sharing hard news like this is never the way you want to start any communication, right? So, but at the end of the day, it created an opportunity, right? So God gives us a platform, and it created an opportunity to speak into people, share, the message you just shared, and to help people understand relationships matter. It's the most important thing, who you surround yourself with, right? So, you have your faith and you have your relationships, right? So, and of course, your health, right? So you have got to invest in your relationships, and the people around you matter. And whatever time, energy, focus, and money you invest in your people and in those relationships, and in building culture in your business, because as you said, it's been amazing to see, our team go through this incredible adversity, but the way that they have come together, it has been inspiring. Frankly, it's humbling to watch this extraordinary group of A players who are on purpose, on mission. Absolutely loved Sheila. And the best way they knew to express their love was to say, all right, we know the mission. We know what Sheila would say right now. Get back to work, right? So in the spirit of that, the best way to honor her is to press forward and make a 10x impact in chiropractic. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Dr. Pete, this conversation around the immersion really has me lit. As we talk about the remarkable business versus the remarkable practice, we've started this narrative. We started it really in 2025. It's always been our DNA, but we actually started putting words to it. And it's amazing how, as you start putting words to it and you start singing a song, people start tapping their feet and be like, oh, I'm starting to get that now. So we're bringing this narrative forward. We're going to be leading with this, always tip of the spear in chiropractic. So making sure that people understand, let's take a minute to talk about the two sides of the chiropractic coin, right? So there is the practice and the business, right? So it's been our experience that most chiropractors do not lay awake at night worrying about their practice, right? They lay awake at night worrying about their business, right? So the practice is the clinical entity that exists to deliver healthcare and drive better health experiences and better health outcomes for the patients. The business is the economic engine that exists to drive productivity, revenue, and profits for the owners, the investors, and for the team. Dr. Pete, when you see the difference, one is a clinical entity, one is an economic engine, right? So I want to just double click on that last phrase there. It's to drive profits for the owners, investors, and the team. In my experience, Dr. Pete, coaching, my observation is that people are missing that last piece. They're missing the financial alignment with their team and the business. What they get their team aligned with the practice. The practice is purpose. The practice is mission. The practice is vision, right? So they are absolutely activating the spirit of their team when it comes to the practice. In my experience, I think most chiropractors and their teams, your teams, they do understand how their job, their role, their responsibilities actually drive the capacity to serve patients. It drives the volume capabilities, right? So to deliver services, right? To take care of patients. They see that. They understand how my job really in the execution of my responsibilities definitely influences how many people we can serve, right? So, but what they do not understand and what they do not see is that how their job, their role, their responsibilities, and the work that they do actually drive the revenues and the profit of the business. Okay. And even probably more importantly, they don't understand what's in it for them, right? They don't see that there's a financial reward for them. Like they feel the purpose, the mission, they are pushed by their purpose. They're pulled by the vision, right? They're shaped by the premise, but they have to see you're missing the element, the secret sauce, that extra spark that comes when you get people aligned financially so that they see when the tide comes in, all boats rise. This may be the piece in 2026 that when you get this right, when you get your team aligned with not only the practice, purpose, vision, and premise, but you get them aligned with the economic engine that drives profit, and they see what's in it for me. When the tide comes in, all boats rise. Dr. Pete, this will be the X factor in 2026 that drives incredible growth in their practice.
I believe that this is the X factor moving forward. And for us as a profession, and I've been saying that this week, Doc, as the registration's open, right? So it's time to get to the events. And then to your point, in most of my meetings, it's a CEO meeting, and they've already raised their hand and say, I want to be inside of the business conversation. What my revelation is that so many of us, and I said, keeping it close to the chest, what I was referencing was like, you're wrapping your head around the business. You're building your business acumen as a chiropractor, which by the way, is lacking because there's three groups of chiropractors, right? You have, and I'll let you kind of share this, but those that are all about the practice and not really about the business. And you got some that are all about the business, and the practice is kind of like a side thing. And then you have those that are struggling with both embracing practice and business. And there's three categories of chiropractors, and almost all of you fit into one of those categories. Well, guess what? None of that's okay. You have to own both sides of the coin. It's the practice side and the business side. That's you. But then if you think like a leader, right, and you become the leader worth following, that's someone who equips and empowers others, right? Great leaders create leaders. Good leaders create followers. If you're just going to be an owner operator and you're going to be dragging your team through this for the next 3 years, that doesn't have to be the narrative anymore. What if you could change the story in 2026 and all of a sudden recruit your team to be a part of the business side and understanding the business side? You want to talk about making a career in chiropractic, and we've talked about that. The way that you do that is you include them in understanding the economic engine and how that affects them personally, and they can answer the question, here's what's in it for me. And it's not just, well, that's just for my doc or the owner. It's like, no, equally benefiting is me as well, as we win together. So not only do I have a direct impact on the impact of this practice, the throughput, but the output that comes from the economics of it. And that, to me, my friends, is the value proposition. And that's why the entire team should be there. Somebody asked me, said, well, who should I bring? I said, well, anybody that you would has an impact on productivity, profitability, revenues. So if they have any impact in that, or they would have any interest in them impacting in a positive way, bring those people. Leave everybody else at home. It's like, so the reality is, if you're here, you're in the business. We're in the business of saving life. If you're in the business, you're in the business of that.
That's right.
So Dr. Stephen, I hope that, this becomes an inflection point for chiropractic.
So I'm going to highlight something you said there. It's like, God's put a calling on your life, right? Like you have an appointment, right? And I believe the appointment is to optimize, to reach your potential, right? So for you to really to optimize and reach your potential, you've got to be a healthy practice and a healthy business, right? So like you said, there's lots of healthy practices out there that are not healthy, or they're unhealthy businesses, right? So there's healthy businesses out there that are unhealthy practices, right? So, and then unfortunately, there's too many that chiropractors out there that have unhealthy practices and unhealthy businesses, right? Those are the three categories you mentioned. Well, in order to reach your potential, and what's available to you is to actually create a remarkable practice and a remarkable business, both sides of the coin, a healthy practice and a healthy business. Ultimately, guys, this is for people who want to make a bigger impact and a bigger income. This is for people who want to help more people and make more money, right? That's what this message is for, right? So make no mistake about it. The remarkable practice immersion message is how to serve more people, how to see more people. The remarkable business immersion is about how to make more money. So unapologetically, guys, no money, no mission. So when we're talking about the practice, we're talking about the clinical entity. When we're talking about the business, we're talking about the economic engine. When we talk about the practice, we're talking about health outcomes for the patients. When we talk about the business, we're talking about financial outcomes, profit for the owners and the team. When we talk about the practice, it's about operations, clinical systems. This is your attraction, conversion, retention, team building, collections. When we talk about the business, we're talking about financial and business systems. This is marketing, sales, delivery. This is people and money. We talk about the practice, we're talking about services, volume, capacity to serve patients. When we talk about the business, we're talking about productivity, revenue, and profit. When we talk about the practice, we're talking about throughput. When we're talking about the business, we're talking about output. With the practice, it's about patient flow. With the business, it's about cash flow, right? When you're looking at the practice, it's strategic scheduling. In the business, it's business best practices. When you talk about when you look at the practice, it's the patient experience. The business, it's business acumen. It's the practice model versus the business model. Sid Williams used to say, it's the service hand and the money hand, right? When you talk about the practice, we want to create something that's sustainable so we can serve more and more people in a sustainable way. When we talk about the business, we're talking about something that's scalable, where you can become more and more profitable as you grow, not less. And then, of course, with the practice is about being purposeful, where Dr. Pete, the business is about being profitable, right? So the practice conversation is about how to serve more people and make a bigger impact. The business is about how to make more money and make a bigger income.
So good. So you used the phrase that I love. A lot of people say it. You said rubber hits the road, right? So rubber hits the road. So where the rubber hits the road is when you start to understand impact. And so we've organized this conversation, which you just kind of was brilliant and just laid out so well. Did everybody catch all that? Press rewind, go back and listen to it again. You're like, wait, slow down and try to write it down. For all you note takers, good luck. No, I'm just kidding. So then it becomes, okay, impact. Okay, Dr. Stephen, I'm tracking. It's a lot there. So we organize all of this into what we call the 5 domains and the 15 primary functions of your business, and the 5 domains, 15 primary functions of your practice. And then we've organized that so it's not just this thing that sits on the wall, but it actually lands in the lap of you and your team. And we organize all that into key performance indicators, which you said, though, you threw that out there earlier, where the rubber hits the road is when this becomes a key performance indicator. And that's like, oh, now I see.
That's on the goals form. It's on the scoreboard. It's on the scorecards, and you own this number, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's where the change happens. So for the sake of today, because we're going to be doing a series here, Dr. Stephen, let's get started. So the first domain, we're going to start here. So when you look at your remarkable practice, right? When you look at your practice, the first domain is attraction, okay? And there are very specific practice metrics. Some of you are going to be familiar with some of these. I'll give you an example. New patient leads that are generated from internal activities. We call them new patient internal leads or internal leads, okay? Then there's the new patients that are generated from outside of your office activities called external leads. When you leave your office, leave the security of the 4 walls of your office, and you're not doing something online, but you're actually in your community, the activity that happens externally, external leads, that's another attraction metric for the practice. And you've got digital marketing, which is, I think, something we most everybody has a pretty good idea what that is now. So digital, so your social media, your SEO, your website, all the things that you're doing through the digital platforms that are generating new patient leads, okay? Bookings on your schedule. That's an attraction KPI. Then you have another one, which we're suggesting would be, because we all know this is something to accomplish, they show up. It's one thing to schedule, right? It's another thing for that person who's scheduled to show. And so that's a KPI, and that's a practice KPI. It's typically owned by one person in your office that says, I own that. I'm accountable to that outcome. That's another KPI. It's a practice KPI. Day one show rate, we call it. And then a fifth KPI you guys could consider would be, especially if you've been in practice for probably 2-3 years or more, could happen sooner than that, but 2 to 3 years more, this starts to get really interesting the longer you've been in practice. Reactivations as a percent of your inactive base, right? Everybody talks about the value of your email list. And it's like, okay, well, how do you bear fruit from that list? Well, this is one place. All those followers you got, how do you get a lot of juice out of that squeeze? Reactivation. So that's Dr. Stephen, those would be an example of 5 KPIs, key performance indicators, where we could pinpoint the health or the dis-ease in your practice and how it's not optimized, not functioning optimally, and where we can go to work. Those would be 5 examples from just looking at the remarkable practice side of the attraction domain of the side of the coin, the practice side. Does that make sense?
That's exactly right.
So actually, that's one side. I'll throw it to you and say, so on the attraction side, how would that differ from the business side of the coin then? If we're just looking at attraction, which is also known as on the business side, marketing.
That's exactly right. So when you're talking about attraction, you're talking about the operations of the practice, right? So you're talking about your day zero activities, we call it, right? So before they come into the office, that's attraction. Your operations, your marketing operations, right? So you're going to do internal, external, and digital marketing to generate leads, right? So these attraction elements are measuring the effectiveness of you executing your practice operations, right? So those are the practice metrics. Now let's talk about the economics of marketing, right? So these are the business metrics. So this is your marketing metrics. And these are our 5 favorite marketing metrics, right? So now we're looking at the economics of your marketing department, right? So there's 5 that we're going to highlight here. These are our 5 favorite metrics, right? So the first is CPL. CPL is cost per lead. What does it cost you to create a lead, to capture a lead, right? So in the Remarkable Practice, we have definitions around prospects to leads, leads to opportunities, opportunities to converted active patient, right? So this is cost per lead, or CPL. The second metric is CAC, or CAC, cost to acquire a customer, right? Your cost to acquire a customer, I think, is one of the most important metrics. It's a challenging metric to track, okay? But you have got to have an idea of what does it cost us to get a customer, in other words, a converted patient. This isn't a lead, this is a customer. This is somebody who has said yes to your recommendations for care. And in the Remarkable Practice, our standard is they said yes to your recommendations, they have scheduled those recommendations, and they have paid for those recommendations, whether it's their down payment of their first payment or their first of 4 payments, or they did a one-time payment, however, but they have paid for their, towards their care or for their care. This is a converted new patient, right? So what does it cost you to acquire a converted new patient? CAC, cost to acquire a customer. So Dr. Pete, this includes both your marketing costs as well as your sales costs, right? So this would very often be, you'd look at a 30-day period, for example. Okay, so let me just make this practical and make it easy. Whether you're calculating CPL or you're doing CAC, CAC, cost to acquire customer, look at a given 30-day period. You could do 90 days, you could do 1 year, whatever. 30-day period. What did we spend? What was our total marketing spend? Total, internal, external, and digital. And what did we spend in sales? Now, people are like, what do you mean in sales? It's like, well, do you have a business builder or associate doctor that you give a commission to if they convert the patient, right? Do you have a financial CA who's your closer, who does like case manager and does the actual financial close, and they get a bonus, or they get a commission, or they have a paid by production sliding scale compensation model where they get paid if they close the person? That's a sales expense. So you've got to add up all your total marketing expense and your sales expense, and you divide that number and with the total number of converted new patients, new customers, in that same time period. For example, you might say, we converted 28 new patients this month, converted people. You would take your total marketing spend and your total sales spend, add those two together, and divide it by that total number of converted patients. Dr. Pete, this is an incredibly important number. You want to know how much it costs you to get a new customer. Number 3, this is LTV, or lifetime value. Lifetime value answers the question, how much does a customer pay us in entirety over the entirety of our relationship with that customer? In other words, how much does a patient pay you over their lifetime as a patient in your office? So the quick and dirty way to do this as a chiropractor is you multiply CVA times PVA. In other words, collection visit average times patient visit average. Collection visit average is what do you average? What do you get paid every time somebody comes into the practice? What's the collection visit average by visit? And you do that times your PVA, which is patient visit average, which is how many times does a patient get adjusted, or how many visits does a patient get over their lifetime, right? So that PVA is calculated by taking total number of visits, in unique visits, and divide it by the number of people that convert to care in that same time frame. That's going to give you PVA. So CVA times PVA, what do we get paid per visits, times how many on average, how many visits does a person get over their lifetime? That's how you get lifetime value, LTV, lifetime value of a customer. Now you can imagine how important that is, because you're trying to decide things like, man, am I running a profitable business, right? Is this a viable business? And how much am I willing to spend to get a new patient? Because I just found out how much I make over their lifetime. So now you start putting these numbers together, like, well, wait a minute. I know that, I spend $400 to get a new patient, cost to acquire customer, but I have a $4,000 lifetime value. That's a 10-to-1 ratio. Okay. So now you know your LTV CAC, which is our fourth number, LTV CAC. It's the lifetime value to cost to acquire a customer as a ratio. Now, Dr. Pete, this is a really important number because it's going to speak to really the health of your business. How healthy is this business? Mm-hmm. I want to know, if I go to buy your business, guys, this is one of the first numbers I'm going to look at. What's your LTV CAC? I want to know, this is going to tell me about opportunity. This is going to tell me about sustainability. It's going to tell me about profitability. It's going to tell me about effectiveness. It's going to tell me, most importantly, about efficiency. How efficient is this business, right? So I want to make sure that I'm seeing in a chiropractic office, typically you're going to see somewhere between 6-to-1 and 9-to-1 is a great zone to operate in. So that LTV CAC ratio. And in that last example, we said we had a 10-to-1, where it cost us $400 CAC, but the lifetime value is $4,000. That's a 10-to-1 LTV CAC ratio. That's super healthy. I love that, right? So that's the fourth favorite number. There's a whole conversation that we're going to have around that at the Remarkable Business Immersion in March, both in Phoenix and in Brisbane. Just know that number, that ratio right there, is going to be the number in 2026 that you're going to watch. I would say not only just for your marketing, but for the health and the strength of your business overall, is this LTV CAC ratio. And then finally, Dr. Pete, if that's a macro study on the economics of your marketing, number 5, ROAS, a classic, return on ad spend, is going to be a micro study. We're going to look at basically your return on invested capital around specific ads, ad campaigns, funnels, etc. And this is great feedback to get. And this is, by the way, this list right here, this would be a great scorecard for a marketing manager that was in-house. This would be a great scorecard for you to bring to all of your meetings with your external fractional digital marketing experts that you contract to, where this is the conversation you should be having with anybody that you're paying to help you do lead generation and marketing for your business.
So Doc, the cat's coming out of the bag. You guys are hearing us. I'm holding him back. He's chomping, he's going. So you could feel the passion that we have. You guys who are regular listeners to our podcast, you're starting to pick up what we're laying down. The game has just gone to the next level, right? It's next level time. It's time to grow, guys. It's time to mature. It's time to develop. It's starting to become professionals. No more amateur hour. We're raising the bar. So thanks for being a part of our podcast. We're like I said, this is the first of a 5-part series we're doing now. Make sure you tune into all 5 parts. Hey, get to the immersion coming up. If you are not registered and you want to be there, you know where to go. Dr. Stephen, you shared a giveaway. So we simply said, hey, go into our Instagram, the TRP Instagram, and type in, remind us what we're typing in, Doc. So I want to make sure I don't say something different than you said.
Oh, that's a great question. I think it was remarkable. It was podcast Remarkable Business.
Podcast Remarkable Business. Put it in Instagram. And then the first person to do that is going to earn themselves a golden ticket, which means we're going to comp your attendance to the immersion in Phoenix in March.
Yes.
Dr. Stephen, you wanted to add one more?
Yeah. You know what? I just want to I love how we start with the heart, right? So we always start with purpose. I want to close today with purpose as well, right? So, because we just jumped into the head, right? So we just got really heady really fast. And, sometimes that, people can get a bit of whiplash, when you do it that way. Let's bring it back around to the heart here. So why is it so important that we understand the business, right? So why is it important that we and our team go from being believers, like we believe you, Dr. Pete, Dr. Stephen, we believe we should be doing this. We don't want you to believe us. We want you to understand it. Okay. Because what we want, what the world needs right now is a bunch of understander chiropractors and chiropractic teams who will invest in marketing in a bold and confident way. We need bold chiropractors and chiropractic teams. People who are not saying, I think I should do this. I kind of feel like we should do it that way. That is a very stressful way to operate a business. So I'm speaking to you right now. If you're like, man, I'm like freaking out by how much money I spend on marketing. I feel like I'm throwing good money after bad. I kind of like feel like I throw my money into a black hole. I really don't know where my new patients are coming from or what marketing works or doesn't work. They used to say the thing about marketing is like 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. The problem is you don't know which 20%. You know what? That is not true anymore. You know exactly where your new patients are coming from. And if you learn attribution and you learn how to use numbers, you are going to become the mad scientist. This becomes the laboratory where you're like, oh my goodness, I need to be investing more in this over here. And I'm doing it with confidence and peace of mind. That's what we want for you guys. We want you to have peace of mind. We want you to be like, man, I look at this and I'm like, I actually understand what I'm looking at now. Right. So it's not it's not just on my gut or my instincts, or I'm just trusting some marketing person, because it's like, I literally actually know what I'm looking at. I know what it means, and I know how to influence the outcomes because I understand the data and I have a data-driven environment. And all you got to know, guys, is these 5 numbers. You know these 5 numbers, and you are going to have an entirely different experience in marketing, and you'll be marketing with confidence in such a bold way. You're going to double, triple, probably quadruple your ad spends, your marketing spend, and you're going to reach more people. Hey, Doc, if this message is hitting you right between the eyes, it's exactly where we're aiming. This message is for you today. If you said, hey, man, that's me, that's the thing I'm trying to solve, or that's the thing I'm trying to accomplish, and now is the time. If you're ready, let's jump onto a strategy session. You'll see the link down below. Schedule, we'll jump on a call with you, and let's discuss exactly how we can help you create your own remarkable practice.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors.